Hey everybody, it's Eric with Chaotic Goods, and today we're talking about Endgame. Now, I don't mean the really cool superhero movie that came out a couple years ago. I'm talking about the TCG sleeves, and these are some of the best TCG sleeves on the market that you can find. And there's a lot of people that would back me up on that statement. While I don't think that they take the cake for the #1 sleeve, I think they're pretty darn close. So in today's video, I'm going to show you the pros and cons of the sleeves, their size, their prices, everything I normally do in my review video, and I'm going to let you be the deciding factor on whether you think these are the best sleeves that you can currently find on the market. Let's get to it. All right, so what is Endgame? Endgame is a TCG accessory company. They provide premium quality sleeves at a really affordable price. And they also offer 3 different variations. We have their Genesis sleeves, which are just their first iteration of sleeve. They come in multiple different colorways. And then they have their Omega sleeves as well, coming in multiple different colorways that are similar to their Genesis sleeves, but a little bit more of a texture, grittier texture on the back, and a little bit more thickness to the sleeve. And then recently they integrated their perfect fit inner sleeves, and I have these on both of the demo or trial decks that I'm going to be showing you here, just kind of giving you that shuffle feel. And I'm a fan of these, and they're extremely affordable. They're top loader perfect fits. They're very thin, so they're not making your deck very thick when you use them. And honestly, I'm a fan of these. They were brought to my attention by a viewer in one of my other sleeve videos, and it took me a while to finally get my hands on Endgame sleeves, but I'm happy I got some because at the time of recording, they're basically sold out entirely on their website. From their inner sleeves to their Genesis to their Omega sleeves, they're basically all sold out. And I can see why. They're very good sleeves, and they're affordable. And so how affordable are they? Well, they're perfect fits for $102 or $103, however much extra you kind of get in these guys. They're $4, and that's pretty good. That's pretty good for 100 inner sleeves. You know, a lot of people scream praises of DragonShield inner sleeves, but DragonShield inner sleeves, they're okay. You know, they're not my favorite. I personally do like DragonShield smokes, but an inner sleeve is an inner sleeve. As long as it's something that I can use to kind of protect my sleeve in general, I'm usually not too picky about the inner sleeve itself. I'm more picky about what I'm actually using to shuffle my cards, which is where the standard sleeves or over sleeves come into play. Now, if you're looking to get their Genesis sleeves or their Omega sleeves, they're both $11, which is extremely competitively priced when you look at, DuelSpecs or DragonShields or Katanas, which are all going to be above that mark, some a little bit more than others, right? And you're getting 100 cards, 101 or 102, give or take. So $11 for 100 card or 100 sleeves is really good. That's almost in terms of the GameGenic Matte Prime sleeves. I did a video on that forever ago, and those sleeves I still use to this date because they're very good. Now, one thing I do have to note about Endgame sleeves is they are designed in Canada. They are manufactured in China, but they are designed and shipped out from Canada. Now, if you are not Canadian, like myself, you are getting some additional costs to your products when you are purchasing them. And that's just because it's an imported good going from one country to another country, right? So while these sleeves are competitively priced, you are having to pay additional fees to get the products to you. And that fee entirely depends on how much money you're spending on their site. So it's really just a percentage, and that's just the duty fees, import fees, export fees. If you've ever bought anything from another country, you're familiar with it. So just kind of a heads up there. There's also shipping. Shipping ranges from roughly, I was able to get a $10 price to about $31, going all the way down to Florida, shipping it as far as possible in the United States to where I was located in Utah. It's about $10 shipping. So shipping is going to vary. depending on where you're located. You have the duty fees on top of that, increasing that price value. So what may be a $30, $40 order might end up being $20, $30 more in just shipping and duty fees alone. So that's a huge, I can't say con, but it is a huge warning to anyone who wants to get into game sleeves, that if you're not qualifying for that free shipping mark, which is $120, and even if you are spending $120 on sleeves to get free shipping, you're gonna be charged quite a bit in terms of duty fees, which is unavoidable. You can't avoid it unless, of course, you're in Canada. If you're in Canada, then yeah, sure, who cares? It's not being imported. All you have to worry about is shipping at that point, unless you're getting free shipping at $120. So that's kind of the price point, and the big warning here is in America, you are paying additional fees to get these over to you, which is fine. It's an imported good. I don't mind spending a little bit extra to get these, but when you have the duty fees and the shipping fee, and suddenly your order is, $20 to $30 more than what you expected it to be, that can kind of deter people from wanting to order your product. But to each their own. I think if you're really wanting some amazing sleeves, you can kind of bite that bullet. Or if you're in Canada, sure, get into game sleeves. Let's talk about my initial thoughts with the in-game sleeves. Now, they feel great, and I just have the standard sleeves here. They're Genesis, sorry. And these are the yellow ones, and they are very thin, and they are transparent. In the lighting here, you can see Union Arena is peeking through. Now, Union Arena, they do use a black background for their card. So if you were using white or, potentially this yellow or maybe a pink, you're going to be able to see through it. And I know some people don't like that. Some tournaments don't allow that. So that's something to keep in mind as well, is that transparency on the Genesis sleeves. But the initial thoughts on the Genesis sleeves is it's a very smooth feel. There's not a lot of texture on the back, like almost at all. There is a very, very little bit here, if I can show you, a minor texture on the back, but almost nothing, right? And then they're very easy to break in. At first, they were very slippery, where I would put my cards down, and then if you've ever sleeved a new deck before, you have that slippery feel where the cards just tip over and they go sliding all over the place. These are broken in after, I would say maybe 20, 30 shuffles or so. I was able to break them in and kind of get that slippery feeling away, to where now they do have a good shuffle feel to them. I'm not too worried, and I've shuffled these, maybe a couple hundred times. I should really start keeping track. I think that might be a little bit better, but that's just food for thought. Now, for how much I've shuffled these, we don't have any real dings or nicks, and I'm not like a messy shuffler. I don't like jam my cards into each other. I kind of fan them like so. I know some people are just extremely brutal, and they're like digging the cards into each other, and that causes a lot of nicks, bends, and tears. But if you're doing like a fan shuffle, you're less likely to get nicks and tears and dings on the corners of your cards, which is honestly preferred. Now, you can see here that I don't really have any nicks or tears or dings on the corner. There's maybe some slight discoloration on the sides, but ultimately they look good. What were my initial thoughts of the Omega sleeves? I was extremely impressed with the Omega sleeves. Extremely, extremely impressed. Where the shuffle feel is so nice. We actually have a very gritty texture here on the back. You kind of get that in the light maybe. And you can see with this light purple color, this lilac color, there is no transparency to it. which is huge for tournaments. And another thing is these were non-slip. These have obviously been broken in a couple hundred shuffles by now, but they weren't slippery. I was able to sleeve the deck, set it down like this, and it didn't slide and go all over the place, which I'm a huge fan of. I hate sleeving decks and my cards just sliding all over the place, or you know, you sleeve a deck and you're starting to shuffle it and then suddenly your cards scatter everywhere and you have to go pick them up. It's really annoying. Any company that's able to capture a non-slippery texture to their sleeves it's just an instant win in my book. Everybody hates playing 50 card, 100 card, 60 card pickup when they put their deck in a brand new sleeves. So especially in a tournament environment, you don't want that. You want to be able to set your cards down and start playing. Now, what are the size of the sleeves? Well, the sleeves actually are identical sizes to DragonShields, which a lot of people will be happy with because a lot of people love DragonShield sleeves. Personally, if you've watched my channel, you know that I can't stand DragonShield sleeves. All right, so I have 4 different cards here. The yellow and the lilac are endgame sleeves. This tan cream color is my DragonShield. And then I have a DuelSpec sleeve here in blue. Now the sizing of the endgame sleeves and the DragonShield sleeves are the same. They are 66 by 92 millimeters, and that is the same for the Omega and the Standard, so both of these, which is identical to a DragonShield sleeve. So if I do this, we can see if I hold it up to the camera, you can see that there is almost no peeking out of that DragonShield sleeve right here. Just a very small, very small notch that is peeking out there. And then if we do the lilac in comparison to the DragonShield, you can see that there's almost no peeking out at the top or the bottom of the sleeve. So for those of you that like DragonShield sizing, you're going to be happy with in-game sleeves. Now, for DuelSpec, my preferred sleeve, my favorite sleeve currently on the market, I haven't found anything better. These are smaller. So if we take I have to do it this way to kind of show you. If we take our DuelSpec sleeve and we compare it to the endgame sleeve, you can see a little bit of that lilac peeking out. Just a notch. So it is very small difference. And again, we'll do the same with the yellow just to kind of show you barely, I mean literally barely, any of it is poking through. So there are minor size differences when you're looking at DuelSpec versus in-game sleeves. I'm talking, I don't know, 0.5 millimeter maybe. So not the smallest sleeve like Katanas, not the biggest sleeve like DragonShields. In-game sleeves, they're a good size if you're a fan of DragonShields. You'll be very familiar with that feel. But if you do like smaller sleeves such as Katanas, then I wouldn't necessarily recommend in-game sleeves to you. Now, I do just want to quickly point out the thickness of the sleeves. The Omega sleeves are a little bit thicker at 0.25 millimeters, and then their standard sleeves are going to be 0.23 millimeters. Their inner sleeves are 0.11 millimeters. They're very thin. So, and that's actually what these are all currently. All of my Full Metal Alchemist decks are sleeved using the endgame inner sleeves. These are DuelSpecs, but these two are endgame. So they're not the thickest sleeve on the market. They're not necessarily the thinnest sleeve on the market either. DragonShields are 0.21 millimeter thickness, and then Katanas are 0.27, and then Dragon Slayers, if you watch that video from my Dragon Slayers video, those are 0.35 millimeters in thickness. So a little bit thicker than your DragonShields, same width and height as DragonShields, so just something to keep in mind if you don't want a really tall deck. These might be a good fit for you. Let's do our rip test, shall we? So we're going to start with our yellow Genesis sleeves here and just tear them apart. And we'll do fingers in the middle and then just rip. All right, So that took a little bit of force here. You can actually see on the plastic on both sides, it warped a little bit before I was able to tear it. There's a little bit of a give, or there's a little bit of resistance before you're actually able to rip the Genesis sleeve open like that. So it just stands to show you how durable the sleeve is going to be. Now let's take the inner sleeve here. It's very thin. I don't expect this to be extremely durable at all. And then we'll just, whoa. Look at that. All right. Those are pretty damn good inner sleeves, if I do say so. Like, I actually had to use quite a bit of force to even get it to do this, so I'm gonna have to order more of these when they restock it, because that's pretty good. And then let's do the Omega sleeves here. We'll just see how the test goes on this. We got our fingers here, and then we'll just, all right. That one took a little bit more force to eventually tear apart than the Genesis sleeves, which makes sense. Their Omega sleeves are made to be a little bit more durable. They're a higher quality. You know, they have the more texture on the back. These are like their pro grade sleeves. You can see by comparison the amount of like warping it took on the Genesis in comparison to these sleeves to actually get it to tear like that. So these are pretty good. The Omega sleeves are really durable. If you're looking for like a high quality durable sleeve, I would definitely go with these. And I'm actually just like mind blown by this. I kind of want to just see how, get a couple in there. And, oh my God. Yeah, that's the inner sleeve. I can't even actually get the seams to split. Like that's pretty good, guys. All right. I'm impressed, honestly. All right, so I think that kind of covers everything I have to talk about in terms of price and durability and, you know, measurements for Endgame sleeves. I'm just gonna go into a quick little pros and cons here for the Endgame sleeves, and again, I'm gonna let you determine whether or not these sleeves are worth it for you. Now, one pro, and this is kind of just not about the sleeve, but more so the company. At the time of recording this video, Endgame has just reached their 1-year mark. And that's insane. You have crazy quality. Some people say that these are the best sleeves on the market, and you've only been around for a year. Kudos. Major props. I think that's amazing. And they're also sponsoring a ton of Pokemon players. You can look at their website and see who they actually sponsor, and it's nice that their website lists out and shows, you know, those people, those players that they're sponsoring and providing products to. I wish a lot of other TCG companies, when they have partnerships, they would do that, because it helps promote the people that are promoting your product, right? So kind of pro number one, but that's just more so about the company, not necessarily the sleeves, right? Number two, the Omega sleeves. These are great. I have this box here, I have this box, and then that's actually the only colors I bought of the Omega sleeves, but I'm extremely happy with them. The shuffle feel is great. This is my purple homunculus deck for Union Arena, and I sit here and I'm a fidgeter, I'm a shuffler. I will sit here and do this all day long, sitting at my desk while working, and I don't get to play the TCG as much, but I do this pretty much all day. And these sleeves have held up for about a month or two now of just constant shuffling every single day. I'm extremely happy with them. I haven't had to replace a single sleeve yet. No nicks, there's no dings. They look good. Pro number three is the price. I think, you know, minus the shipping fees, minus the duty fees, these are a very competitively priced sleeve, and I can't ignore that. Yeah, you know, with shipping, with the duty fees, because they're an imported good coming from Canada, it's hard not to recommend a sleeve that's this good for $11. I just can't not recommend it. It's a pro. Now, what about cons? Well, cons kind of go with that pro number three. some people don't have the extra money to pay for duty fees or pay for shipping. And some people just don't have the patience to wait however long it may take for Canadian shipping to get to wherever you are in America. So the shipping and the duty fees is a con, but if you're like me and you don't really care and you are fine spending that little bit of extra money, it's no big deal. So kind of a con in that factor. The second con is going to be the Genesis sleeves. And that's just because, the Genesis sleeves are their first iteration of sleeve. They're good, but they're nowhere near as good as their Omega sleeves in terms of the shuffle feel, the slipperiness of when you first sleeve them, to the durability. The Omegas just absolutely kick the crap out of the Genesis sleeves. So if you're looking to get Endgame sleeves, get Omega sleeves. They're extremely hard to get, mind you, because they're pretty much always sold out. They were sold out for months. They did a restock and now they're sold out again. Which brings me to con number 3. These sleeves are hard to get, and for good reason. They're very, very good sleeves, but it sucks being someone who wants to recommend this product to you, because I do. I want to recommend in-game sleeves to you, but you can't buy them. You can't buy them on their website. You can potentially find it from one of their partners, their partner stores. But again, you're searching for Canadian stores and you run into con number 1. So they're really good sleeves. I highly recommend, if you can find them at a good price from their website or someone who's selling it at a competitive price, get them. They're very good because they're so hard to get. That's going to deter a lot of people. Why are you going to wait months for Endgame to restock when you can potentially just go get some DuelSpec sleeves, go get some GameGenic sleeves, go get some DragonShields. Those are easily accessible, but are they going to be as good? DuelSpecs are going to be better, but those other sleeves aren't going to be as good. Well, I've said everything I have to say about Endgame sleeves. So, if you think that these sleeves are worth it, let me know down in the comments below. I think if you get the Omega sleeves, you're going to be extremely happy. Or if you get their inner sleeves, which I'm going to buy when they restock, I'm going to buy about a billion of these, because this is crazy. Let me know down in the comments below. But this is Eric with Chaotic Goods signing off. Thanks so much for watching.